What do we do when there's no choice and we have to do what we have to do?
Well, the key is to understand that it's very difficult to force someone to do something they don't want to do. There are many things that we want our kids to do, but they don't want to do it. But there's a big difference between wanting your child to do something and them having to do something. So one way to avoid battles is to find out how to give an option when when something is required. For example, you can divide school homework into smaller pieces, little chunks. And so, for example, they might work for 20 minutes or just work on the first page and then stop and take a little rest to play. Now, the key with that is to not have them play the thing they love the most and can't stop doing. But the secret is to not get into these kind of all or nothing situations. And also, you want to take time to think about the logical consequences of a situation. Your child doesn't want to wear pants to school in the winter? Well, send them to school with long pants in their backpack and suggest that if they get cold, they put on their pants. And in the meanwhile, the teacher's going to do some of the dirty work for you probably, because they almost certainly are not going to let him or her go out to play with their friends in shorts. So let the teacher be the bad guy. Unfortunately, there are situations where there really is no option. And, we have to think about how we decide what those situations are. For me, I have a rule that I have 3 categories of items that are no choice situations. I use health, safety, and the law. Everyone, even adults, I tell children, has to follow those 3 categories of items and those mandates. So for example, you have to fasten your seatbelt, it's the law. You have to go to school, it's the law. Vaccines have to be received, it has to do with health. You have to cross the street safely, that has to do with safety.
But my child always fights when I say that there's no choice. What should I do?
When there really is no choice, you can look for ways to make the situation easier or more tolerable. For example, in the case of getting a vaccine or a shot, you can talk to your child about which stuffed animal they want to take, or where you can go after the appointment, maybe go get an ice cream or a piece of pizza. In the case of going to school, your child can choose what clothes he wants to wear or what he wants to take for lunch. But you can also help your child think about good things. As many times our kids tend to focus only on the bad. For example, you can talk about what they like at school. They like to see their friends. Do they like to play at recess? Don't be surprised if they don't say it's math class. But more importantly, take the opportunity to understand what bothers your child about going to school. Often kids who reject something, for example, for example here, school, they have a reason. I always think about the saying, people want to succeed. If a child is struggling, there's likely a good reason. To figure that out, you might want to try avoiding telling him that they're confused, or start trying to convince him that they're completely wrong. Rather, a better strategy might be to listen and see if there's something specific about what's bothering him or her. We're often surprised by the information that the child shares. For example, there may be a bully who's bothering him, or they're struggling in a class, or they may be struggling consistently in a class because they have learning differences.
So we have to do homework. Now what?
One solution is to identify the areas of difficulties and make a very concrete plan and address the areas of concern that your child has. For example, that doing all of the things that they have to do is not going to take all night, and that they will eventually get access to the things they really enjoy doing. So you might want to look at the work, break the task into manageable pieces, and remove distractions, and set a timer and a schedule so that they can see when they will be finished if they stay on task. The key is to understand the problem, Make accommodations to support the things that are overloading your child so that they can do what needs to be done. The goal here is to work together instead of fighting and battling.